Having built and led the Create Foundation, Social Ventures Australia, and now as the CEO of Foundation for Young Australians, Jan Owen lives the ethos of the not-for-profit leader. A member of the Order of Australia and AFR's inaugural Woman of Influence, Jan works on unleashing the potential of youth through education, social entrepreneurship and community development.
So firstly, well, thank you.
Pleasure.
Again, what would you say the core societal gain were FYI to hit its objectives?
We're focused very much on what the future looks like for young people and really preparing, equipping and inspiring them for a very different future. Also remember that we are at 2.8 billion young people in the world today, the largest cohort ever. In the next 10 years, they will be 70% of the workforce. So it's coming at us pretty quickly that this generation are the ones who are going to be in the driver's seat. So, you know, involving and engaging them in the design now is actually about them stepping into their future.
Yeah. With this role, what gave you goosebumps at the prospect or gravitas to take it on?
Actually, one of the things that gave me goosebumps was the idea that I could bring a kind of a 2 decades of work together. So not only had I spent a whole part of my life working with young people, I'd also spent a whole part of my life working on developing social enterprises and different forms of organising and participation in the economy. So I was kind of really interested to bring my passion for young people together with new ways of working in the not-for-profit sector. Yeah. There are sort of traditional societal sacrifices, certainly as a woman and a mother. I mean, I remember working for at least 5 or 6 years where every cent that I earned was put into childcare. Wow. So there was nothing over and above that. And part of that is that the wage gap in the for-purpose sector, that there is a significant gap to government or corporate. If you think about the 3 currencies that operate in life, power is usually attributed to kind of politics and government, money is attributed to corporate, and love or community is attributed to the for-purpose sector.
Yeah. So how much of your role is spent on strategy and innovation?
There's a real shift in how we're solving problems, and that's core to innovation. Yeah. You know, how do you bring the people who've got a lived experience, the unlikely coalitions? Yeah. And I've always thought that our best innovations, and all our innovations genuinely are social now. Yeah. The planet, inequality, you know, these are social innovations. They're not kind of they're not sort of sit in the lab and work it out. You know, that's why design thinking and human-centered design has come to play, because it creates a space. It's almost just a model for how you bring multidisciplinary people and people with lived experience and sectors together. What would it look like if we had the most sought-after talent in the world? Then that would affect education, it would affect health, it would affect housing, it would have a knock-on effect. So at that kind of macro political level, I want politicians to come out and say, you know, we have an investment, we've made an investment in our future generations. We see that they are central to our success. We see that their education, their health, their well-being. You know, we've got a mental health epidemic in this country, so it's not just about education, it's also about how we live, work, learn, you know, play together. So we have an investment in that, and here it is. And it's an articulated investment. If that was bipartisan, that would be incredible. If it could last beyond terms, that we had this, you know, very clear statement of this is how we're investing in future generations. A commitment and investment in young people.
You said before for the youth taking on the poison chalice or the broken world being handed to them, they've got a choice. They can either throw their hands up and not do anything, or they can get their hands stuck in and solve it. And then you talk about the mental health.
We've got 5 generations in the workplace for the first time. You know, since we were probably in the fields together, right? Like digging stuff up. So this is a very complex environment for employers to be thinking about how do you have a 70 and a 70-year-old
Yep.
kind of working together. How are you going to have an intergenerational workforce, and how do you get the best out of that?
Yep.
How do you gain the expertise and experience of and wisdom of people who've been in a system for a long time, but keep them open and adaptable as well as bringing in incredible insights from kind of the front line of younger people, and how do you merge those together to get better results? And that's that's incredibly exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I had, but I really appreciate your time. Thank you for that.
Great, thank you.
Cheers.
Good.